check out Greg Kinnear and Sabrina. You want to come?
No way! That guy still owes us a case of beer.
Yeah!
What, did they tell you I owe him a case of beer? Did Tom McNamara tell you that I owe him a case of beer? That about 2 years ago, I made a bet with him that we would get out of the studio at 11 o'clock, and we got out at 11:30, and I promised him I'd give him a case of beer, but never did? No, that's not true. That's a lie. That's so typical of him to try and spread those rumors, too. Let me just go on the network right now and unequivocally set the record straight. I owe Tom McNamara nothing other than a new car!
And from the looks of this movie, Greg, you can afford it. We'll see how next on E-Features, Sabrina. In 1954, Academy Award-winning director Billy Wilder set out to make Sabrina, a romantic tale of a chauffeur's daughter first brought to life by Audrey Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart, and William Holden. Now, Sabrina is in the hands of another Academy Award-winning director, Sidney Pollack.
I didn't want to remake it just out of respect for the original and out of my own trepidation at the idea of trying to remake a Billy Wilder movie. I got talked into it by Harrison.
This made me laugh. I got a script that I thought was very funny. I didn't know the original film. I hadn't seen it, so I didn't compare it to the original. But I thought it was funny, and I thought it was interesting. And I'd gotten it from Scott Rudin, the producer. We set about trying to find a director for it, and the first person that I settled on was Sidney Pollack, whose facility with these kinds of films has always impressed me. I always wanted to work with Sidney. And part of what I think attracted him to it, although he didn't bite right away, was the complexity of it.
Once I started working on it, I got challenged by how to do it without violating the original, and then I forgot about remaking, and I came at it with the idea that I was doing it from scratch in a way, although you never can forget the original. I tried to steal every possible good thing I could steal, but I wanted very much to try not to remake it so much as to be as respectful as possible of it, take the situation and reimagine it for the 90s in a way.
A crucial part of that new vision involved the casting of the film. For the part of younger brother David Larrabee, the director chose our own E-alumnus, Greg Kinnear.
I was just going about my business of doing actually both duties. I was doing Doc Soup and later, and I got a call that suggesting that Sidney Pollack wanted to meet with me. I assume he wanted his car waxed again or something, and I really had no idea what this was about, and I went and met him, Sidney Pollack, which was great. If nothing else, I got to meet Sidney Pollack.
Lindsay Duran, who runs my little company, Mirage, introduced him to me. I mean, she just said to me one day, "Why don't you look at Greg Kinnear?" And I said, "Who is Greg Kinnear?" She said he was on Talk Soup. I didn't know what the hell Talk Soup was. So she got some episodes of Talk Soup, and I ran them, and I thought he was charming and boyish and kind of disarming, and I met him, and I thought he was very bright.
We had a few more meetings, and we went over some material, and we started reading scenes and playing around with the role. I would be David, he'd be Linus. I'd be David, he'd be Sabrina. And that's, of course, was a very interesting experience.
And I began to work with him, and I spent a couple of weeks reading through the script with him and kind of coaching him a little bit. And then I put him on tape, and I liked what I saw. I was scared, but I liked it, and then I went ahead and cast him.
I was literally in my dressing room. "Greg, we need you for the show." They knocked on my door. My phone rang. Never rings in my dressing room. Nobody ever calls me. You know I'm a loser, right? So I pick up the phone, and they say, "You got the part." And I was absolutely euphoric. I went out and proceeded to do a horrible interview with John LaRoquette. I don't know where my head was that night.
Perhaps he was thinking of his soon-to-be leading lady. By now, Julia Ormond has been the object of desire of some of Hollywood's sexiest leading men, all sacrificing life and limb to win her hand. Now it's Greg's turn.
I can just imagine, I mean, what a horrible day for Julia Ormond, having worked with Sean Connery and Richard Gere, Brad Pitt, and to suddenly show up and say, this is your new guy. I mean, can you imagine the horror in her eyes?
I was very lucky. He's way up there with the rest of them. Definitely. He's very sweet. He's very, very sweet, and he did incredibly well. It's patronizing to say it. I mean, it's like he didn't need much help from anyone.
He's terrifically talented. He came on the set the first day and had chops that it took me 10 years, to begin to have.
Tell me who you are.
Hello, Sabrina.
Hello, Linus.
Sabrina.
Have a good time in Paris?
Yes, thank you.
Sabrina.
You look all grown up.
Sabrina?
Why does he keep saying that?
A lot of people have talked about the sort of love triangles that have existed in the sort of 3 movies, I guess, now. And I've just been a very lucky girl. It's not something that, it's not something I've looked for.
Maybe not, but this time the search was definitely on for Ormond.
The lucky thing about finding Julia was that we got past very early on trying to find an Audrey Hepburn clone. And that was probably the healthiest thing that we could have done, and went on to try to find somebody who was a new Sabrina, a Sabrina for the 90s, so to speak, without betraying the spirit of that girl in that picture.
You don't object?
Object? To you?
I think the public will decide, and I hope that, I see stuff about Audrey Hepburn and about being the next Audrey Hepburn, and it's like, please, it's the next Sabrina. I'm not in any way, even pretending to become her or try and, it becomes sensitive because you feel, hang on a minute, this is someone I really admired, I really loved her movies. I loved her as a woman, and that always shone through in everything she did. And to try and do that is to betray her in some way. Hello. There is a risk involved. There's a risk that you within it will fail badly. Like, I protect myself saying, well, he cast me, nothing to do with me. He cast me, and so he says I can do it.
Apparently, Kinnear can too. Sabrina marks his film debut, so we had to ask, how does it feel to be a movie star?
Well, it feels okay. I mean, I'm still, quite frankly, the same humble guy that I was when I used to work at the channel. And what we're doing right now is film work, true, but that doesn't mean I've left the people.
Yeah, right, Greg. When E-Feature Sabrina returns, we'll discover Kinnear's acting insights.
Men like David aren't dogs. They're pigs. Welcome back to E-Features Sabrina.
What are you doing? Are you insane? Right smack dab in front of your prominent and paranoid future in-laws, you are hustling the chauffeur's daughter.
And he's not the only one. Sabrina is an update of a romantic classic. For director Sidney Pollack, romance is the key.
I don't think I could make a film, even if it's I've made lots of action movies, but there are love stories at the center of them still. To me, it's hard to see life except through that prism in some way. I mean, the stories that I remember as a kid that are most vivid always had mystery to them, but they also had romance. More than just the romance between a man and a woman. There can be a romance of place. There can be a, there can be the romance of travel. There can be the romance of the unexpected. All of those things are romantic.
And they all lend themselves to Sabrina.
It's a story about three people who misunderstand what they want in life and come to understand it late in the movie. And it's precipitated by the change that this young lady makes in the lives of two brothers of completely opposite men.
You're talking about my life. I pay for your life, David. My life makes your life possible. I resent that. So do I.
David is, he's a playboy. He loves women almost as much as he seems to love champagne, and he has a hard time focusing, and he finally finds the perfect woman, and because he can't focus and because he's never sure what the best thing for him is at any given moment, he loses the focus and starts to head another way.
Enough with the diplomacy, Greg. You mean David is a dog.
Men like David aren't dogs. They're pigs, and although he is kind of a lost soul and could fall into that dogistic territory, he hopefully will be charming enough so that you don't walk out of the movie absolutely hating the guy, or me for that matter.
Spoken like a guy who may resemble his character a little too well.
I don't think that we necessarily have a lot in common. I don't own a white tuxedo. The last time I drank champagne was at my junior prom. He comes from big money. I come from Logansport, Indiana. He comes from the place of never working a day in his life, and I've worked pretty darn hard. Folks there at E will tell you I was in there, 30, 35 minutes a day, sweating it.
For Harrison Ford, playing David's brother Linus proved to be a far less carefree affair.
He does what his father does. His father did what his father did. So he's taken on the responsibility for the family business from his father, and it left him no time for a pursuit of his own way, his own personality.
Until Sabrina shows up.
You know, you are not exactly what people say you are.
What do they say I am?
That you're the world's only living heart donor.
No. That.
He begins to feel feelings that he has never felt before. Feelings appropriate to being in love. It's not so bad, and he gets into it. And then I think he begins with that degree of openness. He begins to be sincerely attracted to this woman, intrigued by this woman, who is the only one in the movie who doesn't put up with his nonsense.
Ford's character may have a change of heart, but for Ormond, the role of Sabrina called for a change of another kind, cutting her trademark long hair.
It was down to my waist. It was too long. It was silly long. And there are certain lines that are very specific about Sabrina's hair, so I knew that we had to make a big jump from long to short. If I've had any qualms about it, I thought, I wonder if you lose something feminine. Probably lose. Long hair is beautiful. It's like, and now that I've got short hair, I look around at women with long hair and think, I would love my long hair. But it was time for it to go. It was time for a different look, and it was right for the role. And if it's right for the role, then you do it.
It's that kind of commitment that consumes Ormond's character in her longing for love, a feeling Julia remembers well.
There's a purity about it. There's a sort of cozy kind of softness to it that somehow unthreatening and yet very painful. It's that kind of like, I can remember my first crush on the guy that I had a crush on somebody for a year, and it went on and it went on and it went on. This was like someone I'd spoken to once on a bus. I mean, it was It was ridiculous. And to go back into that was so, something about it so uncomplicated.
Still to come on E! Features Sabrina. Remember this?
Right, here we go. Feeling good? You're sweating with superstars.
Just sit down.
What?
I sat on the glasses. Don't move. Mother, go get Dr. Calloway. He's at the bar.
Who put glasses on the chair?
I'm bleeding. Can we talk about this later?
Oh, my God.
There were parts of this, as I was doing it, that felt like an old Talk Soup skit, really. It was...
I wouldn't be so sure about that, Greg. You never know what's going to come back to haunt you.
That's right. Here we go. Feeling good? You're sweating with superstars.
Knowing Kinnear's brand of humor, we wondered about Ford's.
He'll tell you that it's hard work to do comedy, which is true.
It was hard work for all of us. Comedy's tough stuff. It's not easy.
And he takes his work very seriously. And he took this very seriously. His timing is impeccable, though. He knows how to not only make moments happen, but more importantly, for a schmo like me to use his timing to help me in the moments that I needed something to happen.
You have to be spot on at each point along the line. And Sidney is a wonderfully attentive director and knows exactly where he wants you to be, and for very good reasons.
Now you're in charge.
Reasons that he can articulate and make clear enough for you to invest in his way of doing things.
So she can then say, you could always hire somebody. And it almost makes you laugh. And then the thing comes up. And then, no, not me.
He is about as good as they get. He's brilliant. He's smart in a really powerful way, the kind that makes you continually question your own intellect. Just horrible.
That version. You know, so, but try one and see what happens. If come on, wake up, man. You know what she wants. You got the thing. Just try.
Got it.
Romantic comedy, as a generic phrase, implies a kind of lightness and light entertainment, and I hope it satisfies those needs in terms of its amusement. Within the confines of that, we did try, as everybody does, to get a little more serious and go a little bit deeper in terms of what it is this man really gives up and what it takes to bring him back to it. For example, where the brother comes to see him and punches him and says, "What makes you think you can get away with this?" And Harrison says, "Habit." And talks about it and talks about what he did. That's a scene that doesn't have there's no jokes. There's not a single joke in that scene. That's a serious scene about a heartbroken man who realizes he's made a terrible mistake. And on the surface of it, you might look at it, if you looked at it out of context, if nobody saw the film and we projected that and said, this is from the romantic comedy Sabrina, nobody would believe it. So the question is, can you do that in a romantic comedy? I think you can.
Within this simple fairy tale story, there are some pretty complex character motivations. At its core, it's a fairy tale about the chauffeur's daughter and two rich brothers. Taking that kernel, that fairy tale, and bringing it up into a contemporary framework necessarily changed so many things in the story and gave it a new character. Made it a different movie.
When E! Features Sabrina continues, our actors reflect on their own heart's desire.
Exactly.
What makes me happy? It's a kind of happiness.
Our 30-minute look at Sabrina.
I've loved him all my life.
Have you?
I thought I was over it.
Surprise, surprise.
You don't object?
For some of the characters in the movie Sabrina, the key to happiness isn't quite what they think it is. And in real life, it's just as hard to pin down.
I've found moments of it. I wouldn't say that I've ever found a constant, but I've found moments of it.
What makes me happy? It's a kind of happiness. I mean, I'm happy, but and I'm happy in my work, and I'm happy in my family life. I'm happy in my life. I'm a lucky guy. I don't lack for understanding of that. The fun of it for me at this point is the intellectual process of figuring out what to do, deciding what to do, and then doing it. It's an intellectual game. I've been exceptionally lucky in my work, and that makes me happy to be lucky.
I'm having a wonderful and very fulfilling time career-wise, but I think all of us have a yearning to find that elusive other, and I haven't done that. So, and I love kids, and you know, I really want to have children. I think there's all sorts of things that will bring me happiness, I hope, through a different route. But it's very important to me that I can be happy on my own. And I believe that people can only really function in a relationship and have good, strong relationships if they are happy with their solitude, and that's something that Sabrina comes to terms with.
Dance with me.
Now?
While the music's playing.
It's harder. Does the phrase, truth is stranger than fiction, mean anything to you? How about you just can't make this stuff up? A week's worth of near unbelievable talk show clips. Up next on Talk Soup Weekend.
I think we're both very curious of each other's lives, and both a little stunned by each other's lives. I mean, I don't understand why some guy would want to head into work at 5 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night every day. It's in my contract. 6 days, 7 days a week. Just the same way he probably doesn't understand how I could have a fulfilling life of drinking champagne and dancing and dating beautiful women.
That you're so excited about how your penis works.
He is drunk.
I've slept with over 120 women in my life.
Look at that wig on your head.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Henson, and welcome to the Talk Soup Weekly Wrap-Up. This is a big weekend for us. My predecessor, Greg Kinnear, opens this weekend in the movie Sabrina. Congratulations, Greg. Very happy for you. Here, it's a really good flick. Everybody seems to be unanimous about Greg's performance.
He does some bad stuff. Bad stuff.
Oh, come on, Harrison. Don't say that. I hear he's terrific in the film. Why would you say such a thing?
Because he's such a son of a...
Oh, wow. Bad blood there. Maybe we better move on. Hey, believe it or not, I finished all my Christmas shopping. Really? No, but I did get these. Check these out. These are ears with a Z. They're little ear pockets. Yeah. Yeah, no more wearing ordinary pockets over your ears to keep them warm. Check this out, everybody. There's the before and the after. Yeah. Look at how happy and warm his ears look.